to the garage. I'm Rich. So today on the bench we've got a set of 1976-77 CB750 carbs, PD41Bs, I think. I'll double check that. But yeah, I've got a number of those on the bench actually. I've got 3 to strip, clean, and make 2 good ones out of those 3 sets. So I'll show you what we're dealing with. Here's the bank of carbs. So from a 76 or a 77, 76 onwards. So it's the one where they had the this valve in here at the bottom of carb 2, very similar to the CB650 carbs. Now, I've already taken apart 2 sets there, so one set at the back, one set at the front here, so I've already dismantled 2 of those. So I'll take you through the process now of dismantling these. Now, basically quite straightforward. We start with the float bowls, we'll dismantle all of that. Then we separate the carbs, because these are mechanical carbs. So the slides in there are actuated by the throttle grip rather than the engine vacuum. We also have to then take the whole bank apart, including the choke, in order to get at the slides. So yeah, I'll take you through that process. Without further ado, let's get stuck in. Okay, carb 1. So we're going to remove these 3 JIS screws which hold the float bowl. Now these are dutifully shredded. So somebody's been in here with a Phillips, so I shall replace all of these with M4 cap head bolts. Okay, so there's the float bowl. Okay, so the inside of the float bowl with this shaped gasket here, float, main jet, pilot jet, fuel mixture screw, and then the float needle under there. So we're going to be removing most of that. I'm going to leave the slow jet and the float seat because they're pressed in, they're really difficult to get out. Okay, first of all let's tackle the fuel mixture screw. So you need to be really careful with the fuel mixture screws. Just, so here we go. So we've got fuel mixture screw, slow jet, main, and then here is the float, the needle and the seat. Now I'm going to be removing the main jet and the emulsion tube, removing the fuel mixture screw and the float and the needle. This part, and you can't see under there, but the brass part just there, they're pressed in, so I will avoid removing those unless I absolutely have to. Fuel mixture first. Again, this one is broken. Now you have to be very careful with these because, as you'll see when I take it out, they've got a very fine needle tip on them. If you tighten these in too far, see the needle tip there? If you tighten these in too far, you can get that stuck in the port of the hole inside the car body and completely destroy your carburetors. So that's our inside here. We've also got a spring. There should be a rubber O-ring and a metal washer. So there's the spring. There's the metal washer. And there's the rubber O-ring. Okay, so you got all those parts to fish out of that hole there. Now the main jet here, and the emulsion tube, so the main jet screws into the top of the emulsion tube, and the emulsion tube is on a 7mm socket. So I tend to find it easier to remove the whole thing and then take the main jet out afterwards. Okay, there we go, so there's the emulsion tube with the main jet inside of it. Right, managed to crack that open. That was really tight. There we go. You can see here the brass is really flimsy. So there's the main jet. There's the emulsion tube. The next job is to remove the float. Now there's a pin holding it here, and then I don't know if you can just make out there, but the float needle itself fits on top of the float there. So we're going to push this out gently. If you use too much force, you run the risk of snapping these posts here, which would be game over. So nice and gentle. So there we go, float pin, and the float, and the needle. Okay, so all that we've got left in here now is the float seat, and we've got the slow or idle jet there. So now all we have to do is rinse and repeat. The only slight difference being number 2 here. We've got this additional part inside the carb body, so let me show you what that looks like. So again, underneath we've got these JIS screws. These ones are okay. I don't think this part would have been taken out. Now this is under spring pressure, this one. So there's a spring inside here. I believe it's the fuel. Anyway, it's some sort of valve. I'll find out shortly and put it on the screen. So underneath here, underneath the cap, you can see we've got spring, and we've got this rubber diaphragm. And this goes all the way through the cart body, and down here at the bottom, I don't know if you can see in this light, but it then presses against the throttle there. Okay, so just gently lift that out. There we go. That part first. And so the rest of it is exactly the same, rinse and repeat. So I'll not take you along for that ride. I'll just bring you back when I've got them all done. Okay, so all the undersides, the float ball section of the carbs are done. Now I've just whipped the top caps off as well. So what we have here is obviously we've got the slide down in there, and each of these 4, and then the slide is held on the throttle shaft. This throttle shaft joins all 4 carbs together. It's held by these little screws, grub screws. There's one there, one there, one, and then the actual throttle mechanism that connects by cable to your throttle is held on by a grub screw and Allen key here. So these are JIS. You can see this one is nice, this one is nice, this one's a little bit chewed, and that one's buggered. So those 4 need to come out in order to release the shaft, so we can't proceed any further until we get those out. Basically, if I just show you on this one here, so this is carb number 4, so you put your JIS screwdriver in that, you undo gently, 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 and what you should have is this particular type of screw. So it's got a shoulder here, and then the thread, and a washer. So that's what you should have on those, and that's holding you can see it moving around now. That holds the slide mechanism onto the throttle shaft. So anyway, I'm going to attempt to get rid of these. So this is number 3. Again, nice and easy. Oh, no. Obviously they've lost at some point the official screw, and they've put some other skanky bent screw in there, which is not ideal. Let's see what we can do with number 1. Number 1's not going to come out, so we're going to have to attack that with a drill and or an easy out. See what we can do without destroying it. Bring you back when we've got some progress. Okay, success. Not too much of a problem actually, just easy out and a drill. I didn't even have to drill into the screw. That one happens to be the actual screw. It's just been mangled. Anyway, so I shall have to find a replacement for that from somewhere. Probably one of the other sets of carbs. I'll be able to make a good set from what I've got. So they're all released now. Now, in order to separate the carb bodies, you've got 2 processes. First process is we're going to unscrew this back mounting plate. So that's where that fits into the inlet manifold. And then we have this bracket here at the back, which we'll tackle first. So this bracket is held on by 4 10mm bolts. So that's him off. Okay. And then on the opposite side, as you can see, we've got these, and again, pay attention, JIS screws. So we have to use the proper screwdriver. And these attach to the main carb body. Press this off. Gently. So there we go, backing mounting plate is off too. Okay, so this is what we're left with. So of interest to us now is, you can make it out here, but there's a tiny little spring that connects this half of the choke mechanism to that half of the choke mechanism. We need to take that off so that we don't bend it. Similarly, there's a spring here connected to the throttle return, which we need to remove as well. And then finally, I'm going to undo this grub screw. Okay, so this is a 10mm locking nut with an Allen grub screw in there as well. There you go, that's that one off. And this spring here as well. Now this is the most difficult part to reinstall once you put the carbs together. So we have to take note, the spring is actually wound round twice, so it's under quite a lot of tension. So your choke will not actuate effectively unless you've got 2 turns on it. Similarly with the throttle return spring as well, that's wound twice. So just unclip that into there, just out of the way. Okay, so now we're going to take carbs 3 and 4, 1 and 2 apart from each other first. That's going to be the first step. There you go, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to take all of this mechanism together and we're going to pop it over here. So now what will happen is, on slides 1 and 2, they'll just come out. Okay. Taking note on the slide as we do so that the slot goes to the outside. So there's 1 and there's number 2. In order to separate these two, we have to remove the choke mechanism. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, and again this one looks awfully chewed. Now from factory what they do is they peen the back of these, so they spread the back to stop them coming out. They do, I have found, unscrew fairly easily. However, that one doesn't look like it's going to. So what we do is JIS screwdriver, just undo both screws. Now I'm holding the choke open here because it's on the spring. There's one. Right, let's hope this one works. Oh, yes. Not a disaster. There we go. There's 2 screws and the choke plate. What I would say is try and avoid pressing on the choke plates. They're very flimsy and will bend easily. So, as I say, I'm using the choke mechanism here. So again, rinse and repeat. 1. I'll show you when we put these back together again, but what I tend to do is just file the edge of the screw a little bit and then use some Loctite when I put them back in, so that there's no danger of these things backing out. Right. There we go, 2 out. Okay, and then what we're doing here, you can see the mechanism here. There's our shaft and the very important spring. Take all of that off there and slide that down. Okay, so carbs 1 and 2 will come apart now. There we go. 1 and 2. 3 and 4 is the same process, but to complicate matters here, we've got this part of the throttle shaft. Now I don't like to take these off, so we'll remove the choke, and then 4 will come off that way, 3 will come off that way. Here it goes. There's 3 off and 4. So, slide for number 4. slide. Number 3. The next process for me is a bit of elbow grease, some cleaning, some polishing. Make sure all the ports are clear, make sure all the gunks are off. There's quite a lot of residue of old fuel in them. Each set of the 3 carbs that I've changed, there's been 1 or 2 carbs that have clearly not held fuel for whatever reason. So I can give them a good clean, and then I'll bring you back for the rebuild in a little bit. So if you found that useful or interesting, please give me a big thumbs up, leave a comment and consider following down below. I'd really appreciate it, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.